Live from the J.C. Newman Cigar Studios in the great state of New Hampshire and the Gurkha Cigar Studios in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. Welcome to the Smokin Tabacco Show with your hosts, Matt Tobacco and Kevin Acuff.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Smokin Tabacco Show. My name is Matt Tobacco from SmokinTabacco.com. I am not joined by Mr. Kevin Acuff from Las Vegas, Nevada tonight, as he is he's recovering, and that's all I'll say. He's recovering from a very standard medical procedure, but he won't be with us. So, which I didn't know until like before the show. I called him and he didn't sound good, and I said, "Oh, this don't sound right." And then he told me, and I was like, "Oh shit." I forgot about it. He forgot about it. It's all good, though. I wish him the best. I love him. And he'll be fine. He'll be fine. But anyway, that just means I'm one-on-one tonight. I'm here with David Swinburne of... I'm going to say this. It's Sans Pareil, right? It's not Sans Pareil. It's Pareil.
Sans Pareil.
Sans Pareil. Okay. I'm horrible with pronunciation. You'll learn that. That was probably one of my better ones. I got it like almost right. But no, it's great. It's great to have you on the show. I got to be honest with you. I'm excited about this because, and I was excited to see you guys at the trade show. As you know, we met at the booth. I came in the booth. We poked around, and it was really cool because Sans Pareil is a brand that I had heard of. Didn't really see a lot of it. I know you guys are not in a lot of retailers, but I knew about it. I knew it existed. I had seen some of your stuff online, and I saw like people smoking it here and there. And given my position in the industry, you try to always like see what's going on and hear report on stuff and talk about stuff. And so, always digging for like, what else is out there? What else, what do people like? What are people smoking? And you guys kind of came along one day and I was like, who are they? And I didn't really know much about you. I saw you guys were coming to the trade show. I got excited. I'm like, oh, this is great. I can go meet them and kind of, talk to them. And now here you are, I get you on the show. I've tried some of the cigars I told you before the show, making some good stuff. So now here we are. Now we can have a discussion. We can hang out, have a cigar together. And get to know you better. But welcome to the Smokin Tabacco Show. That's my long-winded intro.
happy to be here.
Yeah, it's great. It's fun. It's something I look forward to now because I don't have as much time to smoke as I used to. Because I just had a baby. So show nights are always dedicated.
Congratulations.
Thank you. She's 8 months, and it's been 8 months
man.
It's felt like 3 years, but it hasn't even been one yet.
The happiest 3 years of your life. I get it.
Yeah. Do you have kids?
I do not. I have a dog. His name is Walter, and he's a corgi, and I love him, but he drives me nuts.
Yeah. I've been there too. It's right now we're dogless at the moment. But I know that we want to bring a dog back into the family soon. So especially now we got kids, but we'll probably wait till she's a little older. But yeah, I mean dogs are great, man. I mean,
yep.
I miss driving around. Like my wife had a dog when I met her, and she's a black lab. We had to put her down. She had cancer in her leg, and it was just she couldn't walk, and it was sad. But it's like I used to like take her from time to time. I used to like take her in my truck, and we'd like drive around, and I'm like I miss that, man. Like I miss like having the dog in the car and like going out, and stick her head out the window, like.
It's your ride or die.
I know. You gotta have a co-pilot.
I get it.
Also, I think this is so crazy. I might have to just get up for 1 second. I'm gonna leave my headset connected. My laptop charger is not charging, and I think maybe it's not plugged in all the way. I don't know. It's kind of strange. But yeah. Anyway, welcome to the show. Couple of things I want to do before we get super deep into our conversation. We have to obviously hit on our friends to help make this show possible. And to do that, I'm going to start with our friends at the number 2 guyscigars.com. That's right, the number 2 Guys Cigars. If you head over there today, you'll find an amazing selection of cigars, cigar accessories from all over the industry, all the biggest and greatest names, and even some that you may have not heard of yet. But you should try them out because there's a lot of hidden gems out there. There's a cigar for everyone at the number 2 guyscigars.com. I am smoking one of the Sans Pareil Blue. that I actually got from you at the trade show. And I've had one already, and it was phenomenal. So now I'm excited to have another one. But David, what are you smoking with us tonight?
So tonight I'm smoking the newest blend that we have, which is the green.
Oh, nice.
And it's a Habano wrapper. And this is the sherry size. So unique size for us. We're really enjoying it. It's a 44 by 7. Really enjoying it. Very, very happy. There's a beautiful story behind this blend as well.
I was gonna say that's almost like a skinny, not Corona, a skinny Churchill, which I'm intrigued by that size. I like this. I like the smaller ring gauge with the longer length. I'm very into that myself.
Yeah, I mean, and I think you saw our Super Lancero, right? So the Super Lancero,
Oh,
same
yeah.
thing, right? It's long. It's the Lancero ring gauge. We love trying new things, unique, but also keeping it classic.
How big is that Super Lancero?
13 and a half
13 and a half,
by
wow.
40. Yeah.
Wow, that's long.
It's a good 4-hour smoke. I was just talking with Don Patel out of Cigars in the Ave.
Yep.
I just gave him a call today. We were chatting a little bit. He's like, last Friday, we just smoked the last 5 of them. And I go, well, there's no more of that blend because we're coming out with a new blend for it. But he said it was 4 hours of just bliss. So just hearing that put a smile on my face.
Hey, that's what you want to hear, right? I mean, the satisfaction at the end is no one wants to hear. Nah, it was all right. It's like, really? That means that they hated it.
Just pain.
I know. But no, that's great. That's great. And like I said, I've only had the blue yet. So, but with the blue that I've had, I was really excited, and I was like, wow, this is really good. Really was like, all right, I really gotta start smoking more of their stuff, and I want to see what else they got because this is very good. It really got my attention, so I'm excited to smoke another one tonight. And as always, we're always cutting and lighting our cigars with ST Dupont accessories. That's right, featuring the Line 2 from ST Dupont. There we go, almost running out of fuel there. And the new Biggie lighter with the flat flame, which we've talked so much about. We love that flat flame. I'm actually going to toast up with the flat flame. Cutters are some of the sharpest and just most precise cutters on the market. It's what we use here at the Smokin Tabacco team. ST Dupont, shake up the legacy. All right, so now that we have now we got our ads done, right? Which
I guess
are
I'll do
important.
one for you too. I'll pull out my ST Dupont as well, just light it here a little bit.
Look at this
There
guy.
you go.
He came to play.
Team player.
I always knew I liked you. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I've been using ST Dupont products long before they wrote a check to be on the show. So I always say that because it's not just an ad. I truly believe in the product. And I've had so many people reach out to me and other members on the team. Since they've been a partner of ours and they've advertised. People are like, yeah, I finally bit the bullet. I bought this. I love it. It's the only lighter I'll ever use, this and that. And, believe me, I've relayed that to them too. And they're like, we'd love to hear that feedback. And it's like, it's true though. I mean, yeah, you'll pay a little bit more for their products, but their products will last you a lifetime. And God forbid you have any issues with it. They'll take it. They'll get it fixed. They'll get it back to you. Their customer service is second to none in the accessory side of the business. So,
And I'll make one more comment on that. So the ST
Sure.
Dupont lighter that I found was in a cigar store lounge, and it was tarnished black. It was in the original case, tarnished black. No one's touched it. And I go, how much for that? He's like, $900. I was like, I'll give you $500 cash right now. Left with it right then and there. I have not used another lighter since. It is my favorite lighter. I've had it for over 10 years.
wow.
And the only thing you have to do is just the flint. It's fantastic. But
There you go. See?
ST Dupont, that's a free one for you. No more though.
Well, I know our friends over there will appreciate it. I know Les Man usually pops in from time to time, so I know he'll love that. But yeah, no, let's talk about Pareil. You guys are. How long has the brand been around? How long have you guys been in business?
So we had our debut in, I believe it was 2017,
Okay.
and really, it was a project. It was just a little bit of a backstory. When I got into cigars, um, the person that introduced it to me, Aaron, he was always about the highest quality, and so he introduced me to original blends. Sorry, original release. There's something about original release. They do everything right. They make sure everything's perfect. It might change over the years, fine, but that original release is just so important. And so we've always been chasing that. Every cigar, we want to have that euphoric feeling, like, oh, that original release, or having that Paul Garmarian PG, right? I have cigars from 2001. We love vintage cigars, and so that's what we were going with, saying, well, why can't we do that with every cigar? Easier said than done, but that's where the project started.
Yeah, I mean, now I know you guys work with Tabacalera Palma, correct? On your manufacturing?
Yep,
Yeah, is that
correct. Yeah,
is
Jochy Blanco. Yeah,
all of your products?
he does everything.
Okay.
Yep, and if he says it's not right, we don't bring it to market.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, if you don't mind me kind of jumping into that. I mean, the other thing too is, I mean, you guys are working with a great factory with a tobacco guy who's, I mean, he's been around. I mean, he knows what he's doing. I mean, he grows a lot of tobacco. He's been involved in manufacturing. I mean, they that's a good person to be with. And I, we've had a lot of people on the shows over the years who think, oh, we work with Jochy, and I think the guys from Apostate Cigars, they work with them too, and they were like, yeah, like we went down there in the beginning, like, and we found this random bale of tobacco, and like that was like the spark to the bang that created this whole thing, and now they get their brand up and running, and they
Yeah.
work with him, and yeah, I mean, so you're in great hands there too. I mean, so I know you guys kind of strive for that higher quality, and it starts in the factory and the farm, like ground zero, right? So you guys definitely got that right, which is good.
Very, very fortunate. I mean, without Ho Chi, none of this is possible. The access to the tobaccos, and now looking at it, it was just a project to see if we could create these. Now it's okay. Now how do we bring this to more people? Is the supply chain there? Do we have enough tobacco to last to have that feel of original release, that same age, of just feeling of that vintage cigar, which you tell me, Matt. I mean, are you tasting the aged tobacco, even from the aroma, the construction, the taste?
Yeah. I mean, you can. I mean, there's a lot of complexity. If I'm thinking back to, I mean, I'm still at the beginning here, but thinking back to the last one, I remember I lit it up, and right out of the gate, there was a lot of complexity. There was a lot of flavors there. There was some spice. There was a little bit of pepper. There was some earth, and there was some wood. And I just remember the entire cigar. There was changes. They were subtle, but they were balanced. They were right. They were what you want. It never at any point did the cigar ever feel flat, feel like it dropped off, or like it was great. It was great, and the middle jumped out, and then it kind of got strong again, or like it went up, 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 and then fell flat. Like some cigars do. It was very consistent, balanced, complex. A lot of different flavors on there. The flavors all worked well together. And yeah, you can kind of you taste those vintage tobaccos. I mean, you taste that cleaner, softer, velvetier like smoke that one would get out of a tobacco that's a little bit older, especially a little bit more fermented, and has some good age to it, and has really balanced itself out. And there's a lot there. There is a lot there, and it's quite nice. It really is, and I think that's why when I first smoked the blue, I was like, wow. And that was the first cigar of yours that I've had. And I was like, I'm really excited about this. And I went into it with like a little bit of a hype, because I'm like, this has been on my list, like this brand, And I just was like, okay, it did not let me down. Like this is kept me engaged, and there was a lot of flavor here, and it was delicious. And I was like, I want more of that feeling. And so I definitely can see where you guys are coming from. I can see what you're shooting for. I think it does reflect in the product, and I think you guys have done a great job with that.
Yeah, thank you so much. And that's it is how you say, it has to have context. because some people smoke it and they don't know what it is, and they're expecting. Well, listen, I was expecting pepper. Whatever it is. It's a punch in the face, right?
Yep.
Which is perfectly fine, right? It's just not this. This is balance. It's that when you go to a Michelin star chef, and have the meal, it's okay. What is that? What is this? It's not like you're going to say, "Oh, that's a lot of garlic," right? It's that
Right.
nuance. You're going to pick and okay. I want to see what that is. Okay, that's coming on a little bit stronger. Nothing's going to be in your face. It's that balance of what vintage cigars bring.
Yeah, and there's other brands out there, and I'm not going to want to spend too much time on talking about anyone else, but obviously there's been some other brands out there that have gone into vintage stuff as well as like some non-vintage stuff. There's brands out there that primarily focus on vintage. There's a few that come to mind that they kind of are more of a vintage only brand. Using vintage tobaccos, they're using their cigars are post roll aged for so many years, and all that, and so again I bring that up just as a kind of a comparison point of like that specific style of product that people are bringing to the market. There's not a lot of them, more or less everything's aged, right? But a true vintage tobaccos and cigars, that there is kind of a benchmark there, and the product I think speaks for itself a lot of the times. Either they really hit it or they don't. In my opinion, it's kind of become like a fine line with some of that stuff, just because the expectation. Sure. I think the expectation is what it is. That people are like, it's either up here or it's just not vintage enough. I think that you guys have done really well exceeding that. And I definitely would put it on par with some of those other brands who have as well. It's all in the time. It's all in the, like I said, it's all in the farm and the factory in the beginning. I mean, it's the planning, and it sounds to me like you guys are doing the right thing down there with Jochy.
Yeah, I'm very, very blessed to be working with that factory. I can't give him enough accolades because he's the most humble guy probably that I've ever met. He's not the one to have all the flash. He just loves tobacco. He has a passion for tobacco, and we shared the same thing. I give him all the accolades because he won't do it himself.
Yeah. I've heard that about him too. He's a true like tobacco guy. He's not like, he doesn't do shows. He don't do the magazines. Like, no, I work on the farm and in the factory. That's what I do. Like, I've heard that from a lot of people.
Go talk to my son Daniel. Go talk to my son Jose Manuel. They will do all that.
Yeah, go talk to his cousin Jose, who will do all that.
Exactly.
Jose Blanco. Oh, Jochy. He's not a real camera guy. I love you, Jose. Although Jose calls me fat, so I feel like it's fair. I can imitate him, and he can call me fat. So anyway,
checks out.
Yeah, it does. It's all about balance, right?
Exactly.
One of the things I found interesting about what you guys are doing too, kind of like from a marketing standpoint, is something that we've talked about this. It seems to be a little bit of a trend with brands right now. And it seems to be very, very, I don't know, it's core focused the way I want to put it, but the way your products are all branded, banded, identified is mostly through color. Which there's a lot of different discussions on this. People are like, well, it's too simple. It's not original enough. And then you get people like, it's great. I'm one of those people who truly believe, and I've talked about this, and there's other episodes you could watch to back this up where I've talked about this. I think it's great. And the reason is there are more casual cigar smokers than there are people like you and me who like know everything and know who everyone is and just be like, oh yeah, like I name off whatever. That's great. But the reality is like there's a small group of people like us. The average consumer isn't always so informed or educated or just knows as much, especially when they're looking at new brands that they don't know, and they're going to try it, they're going to go home, they're going to smoke it. 3 or 4 weeks later, they're going to go back to the cigar shop and be like, Oh yeah, that cigar I had. It was Dominican. I think it was a darker cigar. Like that. That's I mean, in which is not me making fun of them. That's the general like they don't really know. So it's on the retailer first to try to educate them and show them the products that they're looking for and make them memorable. But the manufacturers kind of have a role in this too. And I think what you guys have done with all like the color coding, so to speak, is interesting because we've talked about this at what we've watched other brands do. I think it makes it easier for the average consumer to be like, yeah, I had that cigar. It had, it had an all green band. There was no name on it. It was green and it had, oh yeah, it was that one. And it makes it easier for someone to pick up on something. And because, what happens, people try cigars and then they like it and they come back, they forget what it is, then maybe they misdescribe it. They go on to another brand and then they like that brand and then you lose them as a customer. So,
Right.
I kind of wanted to I assume that's kind of what you guys were going for with that. The bands are all very unique. There's no name on them. They're colored and mostly colored in chrome. And I think they're cool. I think they're great. But I can see how maybe some people might think that it's a little confusing, but I think it works.
And to that point, it's anytime I hear someone describe it, we don't have we have multiple sizes, but the core line is green, purple, red, blue, and now coming soon the gold again. And it's like if you're telling me, yeah, I'm smoking the blue, that's all you need to tell me.
Yeah.
And I know exactly the experience that you're probably having. And you can describe to other people the experience that you're having, or you can correlate that with the experience you're having with a conversation. Or I smoked the blue, and it was when we were at the beach, or whatever it is. We were at a beautiful dinner, and we had the steak, and I was enjoying the red. They might not know anything about the blend, but they remember the color. They might not know that it's Ecuadorian Corojo, but they say, I love the red. That was fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like I said, we've seen some other brands starting to move towards a simple color based platform. I know Micallef has started to do it. They got the black, they got the blue. I think they got some other colors they might be working on. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I mean, and it works. I mean, how can you forget just a color? Versus there's some brands out there that I love. I love the people behind them, and I love them. Great cigars. They're great people. But you look at some of the stuff in their line, and you're like, even for me, and I stay on top of cigar stuff every day. I'm like, I'm like, oh, which one was that again? Like, it's confusing.
Yep.
And I'm like,
100%.
I smoke that brand all the time.
It's a blessing and a curse. We are in the industry. We're trying so many new things. It's fantastic, but it is absolutely it is very difficult to keep track of. I hear you on that.
But anyway, like I was saying, I think that's great, and and I think it works for everybody that way, and it works for you guys, it works for the consumer, it works for the retailer, because the retailer, they want to sell cigars too. I mean, that's why they're in business. So whatever they can do, or whatever tools they have at their disposal that make it easier for them to move those cigars out the door to the people who are looking for them, I mean, they're going to love it too. Sure, I mean, sometimes retailers can be a little nitpicky on certain things, but with something like that, I feel like it's useful to them because it makes it easier for them, it makes it easier for the customer. It's a win-win. They move product, they buy more from you, and everyone's happy. Yep. So yeah, no, I think that's great too. Now, one of the other things I want to talk to you about, so currently, now there's people who obviously you're going to watch this show, they're going to listen, they're going to say, oh, I got to try this brand. How many stores are you in right now, out of curiosity?
Well, let's see here. I think we are in, I believe, 40 across the U.S., and that's mostly because of supply chain issues.
Yeah.
Not issues, but just having enough. So every time we get a shipment in, it's almost pre-sold. So we are very, very blessed, right?
Yeah.
But it's just going through that quality control. It's no, we're not gonna ship this if it's not right. And I know everyone says that, but we really mean it. We really do.
Okay.
So we definitely limit those partners because it is hard to create. It is difficult. If it was there for all of the stores, I believe quality control would be a very difficult process.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, quality control. I get it. And you can't really ever knock anyone for it because it's the effort and the
It's
dedication.
handmade.
It's a handmade product.
Mhm.
It's a commitment in an effort to putting out the best product, making sure that the end user has the best experience possible. So I get that, and it can be challenging. Like you say, talking about getting tobacco, getting cigars made, having them pass. There's a lot of steps. And look, people know this conversation. We've talked about this hundreds of times. So I won't really rehash all of it. But people who follow, cigar shows and stuff. I mean, you know how the process works. I mean, there's 300 hands that touch your cigar. There's a lot of moving pieces. So yeah, and especially for a smaller company, or a smaller brand, is a lot. It's a lot more hands-on for people like yourself who have to be involved. Right, it's not like a big company who's got all these employees and has all these checks and balances. No, you got to be right there. You got to oversee your product, and so that makes a lot of sense. I was curious though because I wanted to know just how many. I knew you guys weren't in thousands of stores, and I wanted to know because I'm people listening. I want to know where they can get them too. Do you happen to know any of the online retailers? I don't think Two Guys Cigars carries you guys, but any online retailers who
I'm
do
calling
carry
them
you
right
guys?
after the show.
Yeah, you should get yourselves in there. Get yourselves in there. It's a good shop.
Fantastic.
But yeah, who does carry those cigars that maybe they can get them from?
So I believe Club Humidor does. Humidor carries them. La Cultura Cigar and Social carries them. They're out of Kansas City. And then I believe a small selection is in a place in Arizona. I'll have to double check it, but if you Google, you will definitely be able to find it. But I would suggest either La Cultura or
Ambassador.
Club
Is it Ambassador?
Texas.
With Vartan?
It might be.
I feel like that's a product he would
double check
carry.
with him.
Yeah, he's a good guy too. They have a good shop. I feel like that's probably who carries it.
Fair enough.
If it's not Fox, I feel like it's Vartan. And I'm pretty sure. I think I did see it at Club Humidor. So I'm remembering that now myself. But yeah, no, it's. I hope you guys can continue to grow and to get into more stores because, like I said, the small amount that I've already smoked, I think is fantastic. They're great cigars. Even right now, I'm having the best time with this cigar. I mean, the construction on it, it's burning very evenly. The draw is great. It's not too loose where it's getting too hot, but it's nowhere near being too tight. It's very enjoyable to puff on. Smokes very well. It's not getting too hot. It has a solid smoke production, which I think is great too. And the wrapper's not even that oily, which is cool too. It's sometimes you see these cigars, they're really oily. Maybe the tobacco's been treated. I'm not going to go down that road, but people know.
Fair enough.
And they make a lot of smoke, which can be cool. It can be nice. It also sometimes it can be too much. But this is making a lot of smoke production for a good cigar that seems to be untreated, and the construction on it's great. I mean, like I said, the drawers on it's fantastic. So just again, it's a great experience. Now this is the blue. Remind me really quickly, what was the blend on the blue?
That's the Criollo 98, and that's our only Dominican Puro. So just a quick backstory on this one. This was 100% all Jochy. He's like, this is what I want. I want this to be the blue. And it represents the Dominican Republic. It's an absolute rock star. It is refined. It is cultured. It is traditional. Everything about it reflects what Jochy wanted, and I couldn't be happier to share it.
Now, what is the price point on the blue?
Sure. So the price point on the blue, the varies. So the Pyramidas is going to be, I believe it's around that $45, and the Toro the same. But then we also have a Petite Corona, so that one's going to be a little bit lower in price. So it's probably going to be around that 18 or so.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that was the other thing I was going to ask too. Is your kind of your general, your price range on your products too? Kind of what can people expect in terms of because I know you guys are kind of shooting for that higher quality, the vintage and all that, and I know that that also can it can be more expensive, but you're working with better materials, you're putting more care into the product, it all makes sense. But you know, like I said, that was probably be my next question. What is your general price range, I guess, across all your products?
Yeah. So it's going to be. I mean, it's going to be up around that between $15 and around, depending on the OTP tax, around that $45. But what's crazy, and we can go down a rabbit hole on this one. So we
Yeah,
came out with this in 2017. We have not changed prices on that since the beginning, and
really?
everyone thought we were just absolutely crazy. I mean, absolutely crazy. There's no way you can't sell a cigar for that price. Now you look and it's not that big of a deal, or actually, it's not a big deal. It's more and more
Common.
manufacturers. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you hear it and you're like, okay, now it's the big joke. How many $100 cigars are we going to have at the trade show, right?
Yeah,
You hear that more
really.
and more. So when I hear that, it's like, no, our quality's always been there. We believe in the product. Here's what the cost is. Uh, Please enjoy it. We're not. It's Everything's about the cigar. Everything's about the tradition of the cigar, the Dominican Republic, the maker, Jochy Blanco. Everything's about that, and we believe that the price reflects it correctly.
Yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about price and products all the time. Um, you know, one of the things I'll say is I've seen cigars come out to the market. I'm not going to mention names
Fair enough. Yep.
because this is what we do, right? We in the media, we critique, we see stuff. Look, I've seen cigar brands come out, and I know what it is. They tell us what it is. I know, like, okay, yeah, and then I see the price point on it, and I'm like, that's just a money grab. It's all it is. But then, to be fair, then there's brands that come out who are like, well, no, like we're using, this kind of tobacco. It's got this much age. We're rolling it. Then we're resting them for 7 years. And then, we're putting it in a box that, is so ornate, and then they sit again. And then, oh, and by the way, like this, is a seed variety that, we're only growing like in 2 parts of the whole world. Like, okay, it starts to make more sense. The quality control that they put it through. I mean, you look at some of these other brands that it's like, okay, it makes sense. So, for me, for you guys, I get it. Like, I know what you're trying to do, and the level of, quality of tobaccos you're using and the people you're working with, and you really are shooting for a true, ultra premium product, which I think is the right name for that. An ultra premium product should, I mean, yeah, they can be up in that upper price point, as long as it performs. I think that, I think that's fair. What I've gotten out of this so far, yeah,
Nope.
I mean, it's this is an ultra premium cigar. I mean, it performs well, it tastes right. You know, I think that's right on par.
And that's what's so great about the market. The market will tell you that we like it or we don't, right?
Yeah,
They will let you know, and I love that about it. It's yeah. If they don't like it, then okay, you need to either lower the that price equilibrium. Now we're going into economics here, but like you have to find that sweet spot. If it reflects that the market likes it, great, and there's not so much available, and they still want it, fantastic. That is what it's priced to. So I always say that about any cigar manufacturer. If you are making a cigar that is this high of quality and people enjoy it and it does very, very well, good for you. The market says, yes, I'm willing to pay for that. But not everyone will do that. But yeah, that's going back to my master's degree now. but yeah, I love the price equilibrium. The market will tell you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a time and a place for every kind of cigar. For me, it's just when I have, especially now, it's when I just have the uninterrupted peace to sit down and enjoy it.
Yep.
So for me now, like any cigar, whether it's $8 or it's $100, they all kind of fit that profile now for me, because it's just like it's my peace and quiet time to just enjoy anything. But yeah, no, I mean, I get it, and I know, like, there's certain lounges that are geared towards a certain clientele, and there's certain brands that work better there, and and then vice versa with some other lounges. Although I always think it's funny when you go into a lounge and you're like, oh, this is a nice lounge. They carry all the top tier names. They have some really pricey stuff, and which is, it's cool. But then, like, you ask them, like, well, what do we sell the most of? And they still sell the most of, like, the $8 and $10 cigars. Even though they're a big high-end, hoity, like, flashy lounge, which is not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy a nice lounge. But yeah, I mean, they still push, a lot of, more entry level price points, and they do a lot of business with that. So it's interesting. We could talk for hours about retailers and lounges.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's very fascinating, I think, to people like you and me, like just kind of the way the business works. And you're right, though. The market will tell you. And it sounds to me like you guys have gotten good feedback already from what you've got.
Yeah. Exactly. And there's something about, looking at that, $8, $10, even now it's pretty normal to have that, $13, $14 cigar now. It's an easier, or it's a lighter barrier to entry, right? It's easier to sell this than it is that. So I completely get it. It's do you have the clientele that wants what you represent, what you can bring to them, the experience. So completely hear you. It all depends on what the motivation of the retailer is, what the motivation of your customer is, and what they want.
I'm going to take a quick break. We're going to talk about the news. Just a couple of highlight items. Our news is once again brought to you by Micallef Cigars. That's right, featuring the black and now the blue. It's Micallef Black and Blue, all day, every day. Micallef Cigars. Couple of points. Some of these are not up on the website yet. Primarily just because some of them are kind of still developing, and especially one of them, which I'll probably read off to you first. Big one that came out today that we haven't really finished working on yet, just because we want to get some more information and some clarification. Dylan Austin is no longer with Davidoff. He's president of Davidoff, at least here in the U.S., but now it's being reported, and I have some sources that have confirmed this, although nothing from from Davidoff themselves, but nothing else too specific on this. That's why we haven't really written about it yet. But he is no longer with the company, and his spot hasn't been filled yet permanently. Although there's some people stepping in to kind of fill in the gap in the meantime, but his role has not been fully fulfilled yet. But he is no longer with the company. That was kind of a big one that popped out today. There was also a couple of product announcements. Gurkha has begun shipping the Undisputed, the Mike Tyson cigar, which we saw at the PCA trade show. So that is now heading to retailers. Make sure you check that out. I remember being in the booth when Tyson came into the booth, and it was crazy for that hour that he was there. But it was kind of like, wow, shit, that's Mike Tyson. And he wasn't as big as I thought he would be. I don't know. I thought he wasn't small, but like
I dare you to tell him that.
Oh, I would never. I would never. Although he'd probably knock me out, but then I could say I got knocked out by Mike Tyson. So it's kind of I don't know. It could kind of go either way.
Next thing you know, you have a signed box of Undisputed. So it's a good trade-off.
Yeah, thinking back, maybe I should have pulled some shit like that. I don't know. It would have been a great story. Um, Macanudo is they're bringing back their Macanudo Gold label. Um, it's a limited edition. It's in a perfecto size called the Golden Fig, and it's exclusive for the 2024 season. Last year they did this real short, fat robusto, and I thought it was great. It was a fantastic cigar. Um, so I'm excited to try this one. Different shape, but that's heading to retailers as well. So keep an eye out for those products, and that's what I'm gonna do for the news this week. So some new products coming out. A lot of stuff, from the trade show. What I'll say is, is a blanket statement. You're seeing a lot of those new products that we've been talking about the last month and a half. They're now going to the retailers. So if you're looking for new stuff, you're getting in, especially in the colder states, where it starts to get busy, starting to smoke more. Ask your retailers about what's new, what's coming back from the trade show. That's always it's always a good way to say, hey, what's coming in from the trade show. So a lot of that stuff is heading out now. So make sure you keep an eye on it. You guys have the green, which I know is your newest product at the trade show. When has that begun shipping to the retailers you guys are with right now, or is that still unreleased?
Yep. So we did release it, and of course, I mean, almost all of that was pre-order.
Mm-hmm.
Gone.
Gone. Yeah.
Gone. So, very, very blessed to have this, but at the same time, okay, Jochy, you got to take stuff out of the aging room. Let's start boxing up and bringing more over. So it's been a great. The market has accepted it well. Very happy to hear. A lot of people are enjoying it. So there will be more to come, and then we will also be having the gold coming out later this year. It's just things. It's one of the hardest cigars for us to make, the Super Lancero, and we just want to make sure that it's right. Because I mean, if you smoke $100 cigar and it's not right, you smoke it halfway down. That's the worst thing you could have. The worst Google review that you could ever have. So we're making sure that everything's right before we bring that to the U.S.
It's funny. You talk about that Super Lancero. You said it was 13 inches long, 13 and a half?
Yep, correct. 13 and a half.
13 and a half. That's a long cigar. The first thing that comes to my mind, the first question I would want to ask you is, so what's the deal with the wrapper on that? Is that one long leaf? Is that multiple leaves? I mean, that's some length there.
Let's just say we have access to some very special stuff.
Okay.
I dare someone to take it apart and then tell me. No, it's something that we're not even sure if we're going to disclose all of the blends on it. It's just so special for us. We will see down the road, but it is something that scares me to death when we thought of the project. And the only person that would do it for us, at least the ones that we talked to, was Jochy. So we were like, you want to do what? Do you know how many things can go wrong in that length of time? It's dangerous. You're playing with fire. Don't you want to go with a safer bet? I'm like, no, let's go with this project and see if we can do it.
Yeah, that's true, because that's my next question is like, all right, so blending a cigar that long, especially in a Lancero format, which, we've talked a lot about on this show and on the Spare Note show on Saturday night, especially with Coop, and Coop, has been very open about his thoughts on Lanceros, and he often gets, called a Lancero hater. But I can vouch for Coop. It's not that he hates Lanceros. His thing with Lanceros is that there's a lot of times manufacturers will make them and they just don't get them right, because it is such a tricky size to blend, especially in that really thin ring gauge. You guys took it to the next level, and you made a very long Lancero, which I can imagine was even harder to blend and get right. Being super long with that thin ring gauge, and like you said, even just getting halfway through that cigar, I mean, could be great, and then just stop. You still got a lot there. I mean, that had to have been tricky to blend on that. I mean, how was it? More of Jochy on creating that? Were you guys heavily involved in that as well? I mean, I'm sure it was an experience to put that cigar together.
It was both. but I will say, I mean, as we went along, even on this new blend, so I'll tell you about the blend a little bit.
Okay.
So it is a Maduro wrapper. When I went down, I believe it was October of last year. I sat down with Jochy and I said, Jochy, we want to re-debut the gold, um, and he's like, I have something special. Great, wonderful. Let's give it a go. It's a Maduro wrapper. And I go, Hochi, there's no like this is just too dangerous. I mean, I don't know why I even in my head question him. He has it all figured out, but it was I was like, this is going to be too much for that length of time. But we smoked it, and it was perfectly balanced. It was at no point in time was I saying to myself, I want to set this down. It was, and of course, it has to do with the age of the tobaccos. Getting a lot of that ammonia out of it, but the whole time I was just so worried of taking an extra risk on that with a 13 and a half, with something that would have a bit more of that nicotine. But no, that fermentation that he's done with it, no question about it. It's a fantastic smoke.
Yeah, because I was to say I remember seeing the former Super Lancero, and that was that was not a Maduro. It was what was on that for a wrapper? It was a much lighter wrapper.
Right, that was the Ecuadoria Sumatra. So we take the top, between 1% and 10% of all the leaves. And Hochi says set this aside for Pareil. So on that, it matches the same wrapper as the purple, but it's like the 1%. The leaves that are the 1% we put into that. So it's the same wrapper and a little bit of tweak of the binder and filler, but yeah, it was just the higher quality tobacco on it. So yeah, that was a lot lighter. When he brought it out, though, I joked with him because it was a chocolatey wrapper and it had the gold on it. And as soon as I opened the box, I said to myself, I was like, oh my gosh, this is Willy Wonka over here. We just hit the golden ticket. Just chocolatey wrapper, beautiful. Even the colors that contrast on it, just boom, pops that gold, and love it.
Yeah, that's exciting. I mean, just to hear about. I'm a big Lancero guy myself. I love Lanceros. So the thought of something like that is very intriguing to me personally. So I'm excited. I'd like to try those at some point. Hopefully, when they come out, I can track them down because it does sound like such an experience, and you're really selling it too. But it's not a hard sell because I love Lanceros. Coupe might be a little bit harder to sell on. Yeah, a long
Listen,
Lancero.
let's sit down with Coop, okay, and let's set them straight.
I know. I've always said like Coupe, like, come on, give Lanceros more love, dude. Like it's like my favorite. It's one of my favorite sizes.
As long as Coop is willing to stay away from confirmation bias. See, I told you XYZ. As long as Coop's willing to stay away from that, let's definitely give him a cigar. I will send it on over to both you guys and let's smoke it.
Yeah, I would do as long as we're all together, and I can. And he's like, no bullshit. He gives it to us straight. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
David. One of the things that before we wrap up the show, I wanted to talk a little bit about you and kind of who you are. For people out there who are getting to know the brand now and kind of seeing your face. I know that before the show you had mentioned you've kind of been involved in the industry for a little while, kind of been a little bit more in the background, not really in the spotlight. But just tell me kind of briefly about your experience in the industry outside of Pareil.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So just a little bit of background. I mean, I started smoking cigars in 2009, as I talked about earlier, and it was finding that those cigars that are the vintage, something that makes them special.
Yeah.
But then also I do supply chain consulting as well. So I do supply chain consulting almost my entire adult life.
Mm-hmm.
And once I realized that I could marry these two things up, I jumped right on it. Right. I said, okay, great. Now you encompass the whole entire process. Okay, if you have these sales, how much do you need to bring? Right, talk about that equilibrium. How much can we bring to market? What's the lead time on this? How much time does it need to sit? Can we bring on another market? I loved that part of it, of just bringing my expertise that I've done my entire career in supply chain consulting and applying it to something that's so traditional and hand done. In some ways, it drives me nuts. It
Oh,
drives
I
me
believe
absolutely nuts.
it.
But at the same time, that's what makes it special. That's why you have to have passion about it. I just got off a project in Romania. We were making espresso machines. I'll be honest, there's nothing really passionate about it. I love even when I love coffee, right? But you're just going down the assembly line. You don't have that with tobacco. It is an unreal experience going from seed to table, or sorry, seed to light, and knowing the entire process that goes in. These are investments in years of tobacco, not knowing even at what point what it's going to go into. It's just, oh, that's an interesting flavor. I'm going to reserve this. Let's see what it could be paired with. And I love that about tobacco.
I feel like, there's so many more variables. Things can go wrong. You lose a crop, and God forbid, right? But but still, with regular products and things that are made on an assembly line, it's like for the most part, as long as the parts are there and the people are there, like the product's going to get made, and it's going to be that. Tobacco, like you said, I mean, there's a lot in between, seed to smoke. There's a lot of things that happen, a lot of things that change, a lot of things you have to monitor. And like you said, it's an investment of years. There's manufacturers that have released cigars in the last year or so that when I said, well, when did you guys start working on this? I was like, oh, we planted those first seeds in 2008. This product is just coming out now because we wanted to grow the tobacco, experiment with it. Then we grew the stuff we actually wanted to work with, and it's very involved. So hats off to you guys for being able to deal with it.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and I mean all the genetics too, right? I mean,
Yeah,
what's the what's the seed that they're coming in? It's just it blows my mind that much of it's done on pen and paper. It's like there's no ERP system. Like it is, which I know it's changing a bit, right? I mean, we're coming there, but it's just such a manual process, and that's why. And I will say this: I will never fault somebody for having a plugged cigar or something that didn't go right. There are so many things that can go wrong. Of course, if it happens over and over, fair enough. We have to fix this, but it's like, hey, it's okay. These people are taking risks in itself to create a craft or an art. It's something special. So I never fault any manufacturer at all for something like that. I get it. It's just part of the trade.
Yeah, and there's a lot of manufacturers who are very consistent, and there's some names out there that I know are very consistent with their product. They have great quality control, and even once in a very while, someone will get a cigar that just does not fire, and they're and I try to tell people, like, hey, reach out to them, and they're like,
absolutely,
like the Perdomos. I mean, I see people posting like, hey, like this, and Nick himself will be like, send it back to me, give me your information,
absolutely,
we will replace it. No, like we will
take care of it.
That's just the level of care that I think most manufacturers have, and I think that's the way it should be. But to your point, like it's even when you're that perfect and consistent all the time, it's still bound to happen here and there, and that's just how it is. It's a handmade product. It's tough.
Yeah.
But no, but it's nice. Thank you for sharing your backstory with us too. It's nice to kind of get to know you a little bit better too, and get to know the brand. And I'm glad that you were able to come on tonight. This was awesome to have you. So thank you for being here. Just really, really cool to sit down and have a discussion. So thank you for that. Before we wrap up, I do want to quickly mention, just as an update to everyone out there, we are still running our 4th annual CFCF Cigar Family Charitable Foundation fundraiser raffle. We are currently, I don't actually have it in front of me, but I think we're around 6,000 with still a couple more weeks to go. So I think we're almost at that $6,000 mark. But a lot happens in the last few weeks. People are still adding items to be raffled off. I get probably 2 emails a day. Okay, can I put this in? Can I put this in? Sure, it's never too late. It's still letting people in. If people want to raffle stuff, I appreciate it. It's more that helps us raise more money for the cause and for the kids. Anyone ever has any questions about it, they can send me an email, Matthew@smokintobacco.com. But yeah, and you'll find all the information on our website under our charity fundraiser tab. I'll also put the link in the description on all of these episodes. So if you're listening, you're watching, whatever it is, you can get the link. You can go there and you can donate, buy your raffle tickets while you still can, and help us raise some money for a great cause. So, and to everyone who's donated items and has bought raffle tickets and spent money, thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate it so much. As does everyone at Fuente and Newman, down in the Dominican at the school, everyone involved. I know they appreciate it. So on behalf of them as well, thank you very much to everyone. We're really proud of what we've done the last few years and just happy to be still involved and keeping it going. So, but that's going to do it for our show tonight. David, thank you for being here tonight. This was awesome. I had a great time. Smoked some great cigars. Congrats on all the success you guys have had so far, and I wish you nothing but the best going forward. I really hope you guys can really explode and get out there because you guys have some good cigars.
Oh, fantastic. That's great to hear. And thank you so much. Absolute honor to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you want to come back, you're always welcome. But guys, that's going to do it for our show this week. Stay tuned for more updates. Visit smokintabacco.com for more news, reviews, and other updates from the cigar industry. And we'll see you next week. Have a happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And we'll see you next time. Take care.